Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Taurus is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. It is totally free, does not cost anything. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Taurus, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we start with the Knight of Cups. You are someone with a lot of love in your heart. You're someone with a lot of gifts, a lot of talents. I feel that you are someone who understands that your job in life is to find out what you're good at and to do it. To follow your passion, to follow your soul, right? To follow your calling, to pursue your holy grail. You are someone on a mission. I think you're somebody who, you're very good at giving gifts to people, right? You're the good gift giver. You're the one that's very thoughtful. You understand how people are going to feel. You understand kind of like how to create the vibe or the ambiance or the aura that you're looking for. So you know that what you put into a situation is kind of really contributing to the vibe of that situation. So I think you're really good in friendships and partnerships, and even as like a family member, you know how to cultivate the kind of vibe that you like. Yeah, I think you're a really good gift giver. You know how to make people feel welcome. Yeah, I think you're very empathic, and you're very compassionate. I think you got a lot of love to give. Let's see what you're doing with this energy, okay? There is your Taurus. You're becoming the best version of yourself. There's the Hierophant. That is your superpower card. The Hierophant sort of corresponds to the sign of Taurus. It is attributed to your sign. Okay, so this kind of represents your true self, higher self, or the sort of best version of yourself. Okay, and so maybe this means you're being compassionate with yourself. Maybe this means that you are in service to something that you hold very, very sacred. Okay? Let's see what goes like that. Let's see what else we got here. We got a 5 of Pentacles. Got the Moon card. You've got the Adjustment card. And look at that, a Princess of Wands. Over here we have the Chariot. Okay, more Cancer energy. If I were you, I'd watch the Cancer reading that we did. Here's an 8 of Wands. The Queen of Cups and the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is clarity. The Ace of Swords is you figuring out, not through rational discourse, but by using the intuition. It's kind of, this is saying that you have pierced through the realm of human thought, and the tip of your mind is out there in the vastness of outer space, where you can receive the starlight, where you can receive the influx of divine information, right, to bring down into your mind that will bring you clarity. That's kind of what clarity is, right? Clarity is not an overwhelming amount of thinking. In fact, it's kind of the opposite of that. It's very minimal thinking, very, very simplistic, right? This is really a beautiful set of cards. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown, and we're going to set it down right here with Dwight K. Schrute right on top, and we're not going to look at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If you have a prediction for that card, put it down in the comments. All right, let's do it together. Let's look around the room here. We do have some majors. 1, 2, 3, 4 major arcana energies. We got some fire. We got some water. A little bit of air, a little bit of earth. Okay, a little bit of air, a little bit of earth. You got that Hierophant right in the middle. And that represents your higher self. That represents your spiritual guide. That represents the wisdom of the universe now being turned into a practical working knowledge for you. Okay, I feel like you are a student, but you're also a teacher. You may have connections, literally connections with the field of education. Okay, you may be a mentor or a counselor. I think that something like counseling or mentoring would be a good choice for you to explore because of this compassion and empathy and your wisdom and knowledge. I think that this is perhaps an area of life that you can make a lot of difference. Maybe you are in search of this sort of gift. Maybe this is what you've already discovered, is that the way you can be of service to the world is by sharing your knowledge and your expertise to help others, to inspire others, to teach others how to become the very best magicians that they can be, right? Maybe that is you being your own magician, right? And the magician is the one that can very cleanly transmit the spiritual energy, right? The divine light comes in and flows out from us. We are just a clear channel. We are just a conduit for the spiritual light, okay? And that is kind of a magician energy. And I feel like this is maybe your magic right here, is your ability to use your love and your compassion and your gift, just your heart, really, your love, to teach other people. Maybe you're teaching compassion. Maybe you're healing people in this way. Healing people from the heart. It doesn't seem like it's an intellectual exercise for you. I don't think it's just you being, a counselor or a therapist or something. Maybe that's part of it. But even if it is something like that, or even education, I feel like doing it with your heart, more so than with your words, is going to make the big difference here. Okay? So I feel that you're going to have an opportunity to teach others. I feel right now it's a matter of you learning from your higher self, having the clarity, receiving the divine light, and being able to transmit that to other people. Okay? Down beneath the surface, we have a 5 of Pentacles. It's a card of change. It's a card of worry. I don't feel like you're someone that necessarily worries about material things. I feel like you kind of know how to make ends meet. You've probably always been good at making money. Things just sort of seem to work out better for you when you are following your true self, following that starlight, when you're striving to be the very best vehicle of your destiny that you can be. It seems like things tend to work out for you, I think you're somebody who recognizes their own shortcomings and weaknesses. Sometimes the Hierophant is like it's the know-it-all, right? It's that they're perfect and everybody else needs to learn from them. I feel like you have a humbleness about you. I feel like you know that there's still a lot you need to do in life. There's a lot of things I can work on. We have to be able to recognize those areas of our life that need changing before we can be our magician energy and make the change, right? The magician is causing change in conformity with the will. Okay, the starlight has to come into us and flow out into the world and actually do something in the world, right? So it's not enough to just have, let's say the clarity or the ace of swords, the antenna on the top of your head, receiving the download of spiritual insight and information and wisdom. But it's then about how we are applying that to our lives, how we're translating that into activity, to action, to work, right? To actually being of service. And I think that's kind of what we have here too. You have the compassion, you've got the wisdom, and then we've got that Princess of Wands that's actually out there doing the work, right? Converting this into action. This is a fire and earth card, right? Princess of Wands, earth of fire. Okay. So the 5 of Pentacles underneath really is you recognizing those things in life that you want to change. Whether they are qualities that you want to change inside of yourself, It's kind of in some ways be the change you want to see in the world, that sometimes we have to work on our own house first, and that's going to help us then to exchange that energy with the universe. And, because every relationship is an alchemical relationship. Everything that you do, every person that you help, every person that you heal, every act of service, every transformation out there has a corresponding effect inside of us. Okay? So if we're seeing something in us that we can change, that we can work on, then that seems like that's a high priority. Because I want to clear away everything that I can in here so I can be the best conduit for that spiritual light, so I can be the best magician that I can be. We have to be able to recognize things about ourselves that we want to improve upon, skills that we need to learn, aspects of our character that we can identify as needing some attention. We have to identify things that we would like to change. Yeah. And if sometimes we project this onto the external world, I think you're very aware of that. Because sometimes we see a lot of stuff out there that we don't like, stuff out there that needs to change. And that's what we're sort of focused on, trying to change the world. Well, we got to start by changing ourselves. If we work on our own self-development, then by extension, we have more resources then to give the world, but we're also raising the collective vibrations of the world, right? So with the Five of Pentacles, though, this feels like something in the material realm. I don't know if you're trying to improve your health or your well-being, or you're trying to improve your finances. Okay, sort of your financial health, right? Whatever that may be, whatever we're identifying as those areas of our life where we want to put in the effort, and we want to grow them a little bit better, a little bit healthier, stronger, whatever. Growth, right? I think this is us recognizing areas of our life that could use a little growth, right? I think it puts us into a better position to help others, to be of service, to give your gift out to the world, and to teach others. You can teach other people because you've been there too, or you still are there in a lot of ways. Okay? So if you're not trying to grow, how can you teach other people how to grow? If you don't know how to take care of a garden, how can you teach the gardening class, right? There's this weird saying about those who can't do, teach, right? I think the best teachers are the ones that can do and are doing. And we had this conversation, I think, last week. I don't know if it was for Taurus or for a different sign, but the best way to learn something is to teach it. And the only way we can teach it is if we're also learning it, right? So your ability to explain something to someone else is a reflection of your own understanding of that particular thing, right? So we have to find the growth within. We have to stimulate our own growth and work on our own development and our own changes so that we can be of service to the world around us. It's kind of like you got to put your own oxygen mask on first before you worry about helping other people with their oxygen mask. Okay. It's very important, and I think this is really a kind of a core thing for you, is identifying those areas where you want to grow, where you want to do better in your life, right? Maybe you're bad at math, and this is like, well, I want to grow, in my calculating abilities. But really, in a lot of ways, maybe we want to grow in our financial health. Maybe we want to grow into these good habits for our physical well-being. It could be a lot of different things. Now, in the background, this moon energy back here. There was a time in your life where you weren't really thinking long distance. Like you weren't thinking of the future. You were just kind of thinking of like what's right around me right now. This is what it is. And the magician very much can function well in that environment. We can adapt to this. This is a dark, scary forest behind you. Maybe that you recently overcame what you consider a dark night of the soul. But in the dark, scary forest, the magician will be there and think, okay, this is my dark, scary forest. This is where I live now. This is what I've got to work with, right? I have to get used to it. I've got to adapt to the dark, scary forest. That's one of the very best qualities that we have as human beings, is our ability to adapt. But just because you can adapt to what this is, I mean, this is a nightmare. This is scary. This is darkness. This is confusion. This is uncertainty. This is monsters lurking around every corner. Looking and lurking. Just because we can adapt to this does not mean that we should. It does not mean that is the best choice for us to make. Okay? Because the magician can do something else too. And I know we don't have that card here. Maybe I'm trying to will that into being the mystery card. But just because we can adapt to this doesn't mean we should. Because then another thing that we're capable of doing is changing our environment. You can find yourself in a dark, scary forest and say, okay, this is where I live. I just got to try to survive. I got to do the best I can. I got to try to find a way to, to make it work. Especially if we feel like we can't get out of this. Reminds me of that show on MGM, I think it's called From. Everybody's stuck in this little town that when night falls, the monsters come out, but there's no way out of the town. So they just have to hide inside their houses at night until daylight, and then the monsters go away and they can... So they're all just trying to survive. They're trying to do the best they can in the environment that they have because they cannot change their environment. Most of the time we can, at least to some degree. And that's part of what we got here. So this moon energy behind you, it's making me feel that you've taken some major steps to learn the skills necessary to figure out how you need to grow, what skills you need to learn, and perhaps what education you need or what choices you need to make so that you can change this dark, scary forest to something else, to something better. Something like an Empress energy, right? Or a Princess of Pentacles or something, right? Just to something that's going to be more conducive to that growth. Right? I can't grow here because of the conditions, but in order to get out of here, I've got to grow a little bit so I can get out of here and then I can grow. So it's kind of a paradox, right? What came first? The chicken or the egg. So we have to start making efforts to change our environment, and that's going to force us into learning and growing in a way that's going to make it much easier for us to change our environment, and then we are full-on magician energy. And then we're becoming the very best magician that we can be. Okay, and I think that you've done that. I think that you're taking steps now to change the world around you into a, we see up here with the adjustment card, trying to find the path that's going to lead us to the environment, making little changes, micro adjustments in the environment, in ourselves, and in the world around us. Because it has to happen in tandem. It can't just be one first and then the other. We can't alternate between the two. We're changing the environment, we're changing right along with it, or vice versa. Because we want an environment that is more conducive to us doing the work that we want to do. We need to grow a little bit so that our environment can grow a little bit so that it can help us to grow even more. We're trying to create for ourselves and our loved ones and for the world an environment whereby we can work harder, faster, more efficiently, and see the growth happen at a more rapid pace. We can do what we need to do in life with the least amount of unnecessary restrictions and obstacles and friction and conflict. Okay. So we're looking for a balance between adapting to the situation as it is and changing the situation so that it's something that I'm more willing to adapt to, right? Environment matters. And I think you're understanding that it's a very delicate balance between us and our world, us and our environment. And I mean like literally, like our relationship with nature, but also the things that we're surrounded with. The people that are around us, literally the place that we live, the house, the furniture around us. We've got to try to optimize our workspace so that we can be as efficiently as possible. I want an environment that's going to make it easy for me to work hard. Right. and make it easy for me to work hard. And that's the kind of balance that we need. We realize that we cannot change everything about the environment. We don't have that kind of power. But at the other extreme, we realize that we shouldn't have to adapt to whatever circumstances are there 100%. Just because you can adapt to it doesn't mean you really should. There's got to be a balance. There's got to be a little bit of pushback. Okay, otherwise, we're just sort of victims of circumstance. We're just overrun we're steamrolled by our environment. We've got to push back a little bit. We've got to try to optimize our environment so that it is more conducive to whatever it is we're trying to do in life. Whatever it is we're trying to grow or produce or create, the work that we're trying to do. And when I say work, I don't just mean what you're doing for money. I mean what you're burning calories doing every day, like what your purpose is, what your commitments are, what your activities are, what you are trying to do. Okay, that's the work. But as we see in the spread here, it's not really about what you're doing. You have to identify things that you need to do, but it's not really about that. It's not about what you're doing, it's about how and why. If you're doing things, if the how is right and the why is right, the results will be there. The outcome is just about guaranteed, as much as we can possibly say that, you know. So all we have left to do is put all of this into action. Now, the art of manifestation or being the magician requires that we take action. The environment's not going to change unless we change it. Our insides are not going to, well, let me rephrase that. Change is inevitable. Things will always be changing. Things will not change in a favorable way unless we have some input. We are always changing too. The environment's constantly trying to change us. And we're either going to just be hanged man energy and just totally allow it and be steamrolled, or we're going to do it intentionally, or we're going to find a way to use the energy of the environment and use our own energy to direct the course of our lives in an intentional way. That's magician. Okay, you always hear, well, nothing changes unless you change it, right? Or if we don't take action, nothing's going to change, right? No, things will change. We just won't have any say in it. If you don't take action, intentional action, you're not. You have no right to dictate how things are growing, changing, evolving in yourself and in the world around you, right? So we have to take action because we want to be able to direct the course of change. Like maybe we'll get the death card as the mystery card, because change is always happening. It's the nature of nature. It is the only constant. Right? It's the fundamental force, the process of change. Things are always changing. We're either hanged man just floating down the river of change, que sera, sera, or we act intentionally and we help to nudge the river. We help to direct the course of change, both internal and external, in a way that is in harmony, in a way that is in tune with our conception of ourselves and our soul and our destiny. Yeah. Okay. Path of the Serpent. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, by the way, please do. We have here the Chariot card, and this is you being the vehicle of your own destiny. This is now the discipline. Now we're in the chariot. We're holding the reins. We have a sense of purpose, right? Our purpose is not one particular thing. Our purpose is, it's a verb. It's an action. It's a way of life, right? We're driving the chariot with purpose, right? Not with a purpose, okay? And there's a distinction there. But we're kind of getting the show on the road now. This is obviously a Cancer energy. Like I said, I would watch the Cancer reading if I were you. But I think that this has to do with your home environment, your living situation. I don't know if you're trying to move to a better house, a better neighborhood. You're trying to sort of climb up the real estate ladder or something. But I feel like there's something in your living situation that you're trying to change. Okay, there's progress that you're trying to make. I feel like this card is really about a commitment and a loyalty to our own spiritual essence, our own divine force, the calling of our soul. Again, I feel like you've answered the call. You've heard the summons. from Spirit, and you're on your quest. You are a questing knight. All right? And that quest is all about becoming the very best magician that we can be. And understanding that we are devoted to, loyal to, and serving our own higher soul. Okay? And that sort of puts the ego in perspective, puts the ego consciousness in its rightful place. Okay? And now the Eight of Wands, it's in the position of your environment and your relationships, so it's kind of chaotic. It's anxiety, right? To me, it feels like a lot of bursts of energy, and not a lot of consistency. And that's something that I think really needs to be implemented, especially with our princess because this is action, right? And of course, Taurus, you are a fixed earth energy. You're a very stable energy. This, of course, is a very chaotic, very impulsive energy. But it is action. What we need to do is sort of learn and grow and discipline this action, control this action via the Chariot card, because this is a card of self-control and discipline. So that instead of scattering our efforts in so many different directions with no real effect, no real purpose or intention, we're able to focus these bursts of energy toward an area that we choose, toward one of these things that we want to change. So in other words, don't try to change everything at once. Work on changing kind of one thing at a time. What can we focus on specifically? What are things that we can reasonably and realistically do? We can't do 20 things at once. There's just not enough hours in the day. There's not enough energy in the tank to do that to any meaningful degree. So we narrow it down, 1 or 2 or 3 things, depending on what they are and how much time they're going to take, because this is a scattering of energy. Okay, this might be that we have these bursts of energy that I sort of do a little work over here, I do a little work over here, I do this little thing over here. Nothing really gets done. That's a problem with our Princess of Wands. Princess of Wands likes to go around starting little projects, and then you look around your house, you have all these little things that are started, little piles of things, right, that are started but never finished. So it just creates a mess. Okay. So these two together, it's a lot of energy, but it just needs to be reined in. It needs to be narrowed down and focused, channeled, so that it can accomplish 1 or 2, maybe 3 things in tandem, rather than a scattering, a dissipation, a dispersing of energy. It's a channeled focus, a discipline of that energy. Okay, we need to replace this with an Ace of Wands, or maybe even a 3 of Wands. But thankfully, we've got the Ace up here, right? The Ace of Swords. So if we want to accomplish goals, if we want to become the best magician that we can be, we have to identify the things in life we want to change, and we have to be able to prioritize and say, okay, I'm going to work on these particular goals first. I'm going to put all my energy into doing 1 or 2 things really, really, really well, rather than a dozen things kind of meh, not really that intensely, The Queen of Cups here, this is part of our obstacle. This is some energy that we don't want. One, I don't think we want to really sink deep into our emotions. We want to tap into what is true and honest for us. This is a card of emotional transparency, right? This is another card sort of empathy and compassion, but there's a warning here. It's saying don't have so much compassion that you end up sort of as the hanged man, letting people take advantage of you, letting life steamroll you. Okay? Because you're such a generous, loving, caring, empathic person, people are going to take advantage of you. You're going to take on other people's burdens, other people's pains, other people's trauma. They're going to become your own. Okay? So again, it's about balance. It's about pushing back with intentionality. And not just being, this is water and water. This is double water. This is very, very deep. Okay? But at the same time, we we want to be authentic. We don't want to just reflect back what the universe is giving us, right? We don't want to just be shallow in our desires and just say, well, the easiest way through life is just to seek pleasure and avoid pain, not just seeking gratification, right? We're seeking something else. We're trying to tap into the real essence of who we are. Find out what our gift really is. What is the life we really want? What are we really trying to build here? Right? What is the purpose behind all this learning and growing and all of this manifestation and this magician energy? What is it that we really truly want? Okay? And if we identify that, see, this is identifying in some ways what we don't want. Right? We have to know what we do want, and we have to have that clarity. We have to find the clarity. There's a reason why there's not a lot of swords cards here. You're not trying to think your way out of anything. You're not trying to analyze and contemplate and ruminate on anything. You're not trying to debate. You're not asking questions. We're sort of feeling, right? We're getting to the core of how we feel, our deepest, truest soul feelings here. And we're trying to use the mind just to tap into the intuition. Okay, maybe you're starting to journal more. Maybe you're starting to process a lot of your emotional energy. We're tapping into the intuition. We're allowing that starlight to come in and guide us, to show us what needs to be changed, and to show us where to direct our positive energy. Right? The magician is just the messenger, remember? Mercury, Hermes, the messenger of the gods. It's just the conduit, it's just the messenger. Something is flowing through the magician. We have to tap into what that is, clear away the blockages inside that are going to distort the signal, and then let that signal go out and do what it needs to do in the world. That's our job, right? And it's important that we do that job the very best way we can. All right, there's clarity here. Let's look at the mystery card. Maybe this will be the Magician or the Empress or 9 or a 10 of Pentacles, something like this. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments down below. Let's see what we have. The Death card. The fundamental force of change. And this, again, it's the confirmation. We were just talking about this card. It's the nature of nature. It's the only constant. Things change. We're either on board with this and trying to help direct the course of change, both internal and external, or we're just victims of it, or we're just going to get steamrolled by change. We're just going to be the hanged man on a river going with that current with no paddle, with no ability to direct our lives in any way. We're going to change, yeah, not in a way that we want. Our world is going to change, not in a way that we necessarily would wish for. Okay? So we have to realize this, and it's now time for you to be that active force in your life. Be the magician. All right. Now we're going to do an extended reading. We'll do an I Ching reading, some oracle cards. There's a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for Taurus Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's free. Doesn't cost anything. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.